Are you investing in stocks? Have you ever wondered how you becoming a stock investor affect your taxes, right? Well, in this video, we're going to break down, if you invest in stocks, what is the ins and out about it, right? What the money you make in the stock market, how you lose money, your dividend income, your interest income, and how to reduce your taxes in the stock market. So stay tuned. Have you ever wondered what's the difference of working on your business versus in your business?
How some banks and people were instrumental in the development and the founding of our banking system.
On today's episode of Tax Tip, we getting down and dirty.
I want to start a business. I want financial freedom.
Do you have a business and you have children to employ?
Women should do this and men should do that.
Do you know the benefits of an S corporation? We're going to talk to you about the mistakes you need to avoid before starting your LLC. What's going on, y'all? It's another episode of Minding Your Biz. I'm one of your co-hosts, Dr. BlackWealth. We got...
Hey, y'all. It's your girl, Miss Fabfinancial. How you doing? How are you? What's going on? You know, things happen. I'm listen.
See what happened when we switch days.
Right? Just get discombobulated. But we here. We talk about stocks and things.
We're recording videos in the middle of a tornado watch or whatever's happening outside.
No, for sure. I was nervous. And I was nervous, Nancy. I jumped in my tub. And usually I don't.
Oh, Jesus.
It got super dark. And all I know is the chairs on my back porch hit my door.
Oh, man.
And I'm not used to that. I'm a northern girl.
I feel you.
We don't have tornadoes.
You'll see pounds of snow.
That's right. And we don't. I was nervous. I was like, what is that? Why the wind and the water? Okay.
Yeah.
But I made it through.
I see.
It wasn't that bad though. But it just got really dark.
So, y'all, we're gonna talk about stocks, right? So, if you want to be a stock investor, right? Investing in stocks. You got your brokerage account with who's it, what's it? Anybody. It don't matter who it is. How stocks can affect your taxes and build wealth. I mean, I think it's a thing. So, we'll dive into it. So,
I think it's a good vehicle to help. I think it's a conversation that more of us need to have, right? Because I think the more conversations we have about stocks and money, it kind of lessens the fear factor around it. You know what I mean? Like, I think more people should invest. And stocks is a great way to build wealth. And so I think as we go into it and we break down some of the fear around it, I think more people will feel comfortable with trading. Because it's a great way to build wealth. Plant your seeds today so you can reap a harvest tomorrow. I think. And
it's a cheaper tax rate. I would invest just off that alone.
I mean, if you for sure, it's not as passive as investing income,
right?
And it's not earned.
So the good thing about it is, like, you having a brokerage account, your brokerage account will keep track of like all the activity associated with your stocks, right? So. For this video, we're not going to focus on Coinbase or none of that stuff. We might have to manually track or whatever the case, but
Lord, please.
We are going to keep track of, with your brokerage account. The brokerage account keeps tracks of the activity. They know what trades you make. They know how much money you make, how much money you lost. And they give you what's called a consolidated 1099.
Yeah.
So in that 1099, you'll have what's called your 1099B. You have your 1099 INT, which is for your interest, and you'll have a 1099 div, which is for your dividend income. Brokerage accounts have until the 15th of February, which was actually kind of new knowledge to me, 15th of February to send out reports where typically if you are a contractor or W-2 employers or people who paid out contracts have until the end of January to send out 1099s.
Right. So they give them a little more time.
They do. Yeah. And the reason for it is because...
It's a lot of data.
It is. But the main thing about it is because if we were, let's say we were to make a trade last week in December. If we make a trade last week in December, what happens is we still got like a 30-day period of what's called a wash sale rule. So what they look for is did we make a trade and sell something that took a loss, right? But then we repurchase into another stock that kind of gave us a gain. So then you'll kind of have like a wash sale, because it'll kind of be like it'll be a leveled out. It evens out. And so they give you like 30 days to you got a 30-day buffer so you could make a sale end of December, and come January you buy something, and they're going it's on the same
level playing field.
And they're going to put that right in that 1099, right? So that's why they give it until like 15 February, right? So on a basic level though, the stocks that you buy into a brokerage account or whatever, let's say I want to invest in Meta or Tesla or what's it, right? When I purchase a stock, you typically go in at a purchase amount. Let's say I purchase a Meta stock for $100.
Yeah.
Right. And then I sell the stock at $120. That means that we got a gain of $20 off the stock sale that we got, which now we pay the capital gains on the $20 that we gained.
For
right?
sure. Once you sell it. So the taxes, just know that the taxes you're paying, the capital gains taxes you're paying is once you sell it, almost like cashing out.
Right.
Okay. So you can do short term. That's how they break it up, short term or long term. So short term is less than a year. So if you buy a stock, and the stocks that you purchase, we talk about building wealth. I'm not going to, beat us down the head with it, but it's a great vehicle to get into, especially just looking at the things around you when you're looking for stock. But you buy it at a certain price point and you hold on to it. If you sell it within the year you purchased it, you're paying the capital gain tax. You're paying short term. If you keep it 12 months out, at least a year, over a year, it turns into long term. That's what you want to keep. You want to look for stock that's going to grow and invest. Also, so you can pay the least amount of taxes, right? But so you can really try to grow what you're doing, right? If you're a day trader and you're avid, you're in it every day, right? Those are people who are trading on the dime. They're like up all night. They're, those are the people who typically do short term. But most of us laymen, you probably want to buy something over time, stay in it, keep it so it could grow for you. You know what I mean? So it could grow for you. So then when you cash out 2 or 3 years later, you're paying the capital gain you're paying the taxes on the gain, on the gain.
So, let's go into it. So, the tax rate that you will pay will be dependent on the tax rate that you are in, right? So if you're in a 10 or 20 or 30% tax bracket, it will determine how much taxes or what percentage of taxes you pay. So on the sale of the stock we just mentioned, right? We bought it at $100. We sold it at $120. We're only paying taxes on the $20 that we gain, right? For this, it will depend on the tax rate that we're in. So if you're in a 10% tax bracket, you're going to pay 10% of the $20 in taxes, right? Essentially. So you're going to end up paying the $2. But then the play for it is just like what you explained, right? So if I cash out in the short term, meaning under either 12 months or less. Yeah. So if I buy Meta stock January and I sell it December and I got a gain of 120 I sold it at 120, so we got a gain of $20. If we sell it then, anything in the short-term tax rate, we will be taxed at ordinary income tax, meaning whatever your income tax bracket is. So you make $100,000 a year, you're making 6 figures.
That's
if you
$20.
sell is right. I mean, we talking 20 grand,
right. But $20. That was the problem.
I meant $20. Right. I'm 20
you paying
grand.
more for that 20 than you probably should.
For sure, right? And that's a small. I'm just using small numbers for easy math, right? But let's just, you making $100,000, you decide to invest 10 grand, right? You sell it. Let's say the stock went up 20 grand.
Pay $5,000.
Right. You know what I mean? So now you paying that ordinary income tax rate
$5,000
because it's short, right? Because you're trying to get the dollar right then, right?
You just hold tight.
If you just hold on to it.
Hold tight.
So if you hold on to it for more than a year.
Don't fold
right?
them. Hold them.
Hold them. That's what if you hold on to it for more than a year, we're in a long-term capital gains rate.
Yeah.
And so when you do that, the long-term will depend. It still depends on your tax rate and tax bracket, but you will pay less, right? So if you're in a 37% tax bracket, your long-term capital gains rate is at 20%.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a 25% tax bracket, your long-term tax rate is at 15%. If you're in a 10% tax bracket, your long-term capital gains rate is 0, right? So that will determine, whatever you pay.
So it's strategic, guys. We're talking about money, and that's why having a conversation is so important.
Yeah.
It's so important because you want to always be intentional about how you spend money.
Yep.
So if you are like, hey, if I could just wait 2 more months, if it's November, you might as well wait till January to cash out so you can pay a cheaper tax, right? Let's make it make sense. So, when you thinking about going into stocks and investing, you're talking about building wealth. And so I think people just need to kind of relax unless you really, really need the funds, right, for something, for a reason. But long-term game. This is a long-term game. So think about long-term investing, holding it. Don't fold them. Hold them.
And so when you think about it, right?
That's how wealth is built. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Most people who build wealth, they're doing it over time, right? When people talk about compound interest, stocks, it's long-term. So the short-term gain, you may like, I made $1,000 here. I made $500 here. They're trading short every day. And there are people who trade short and spend a lot of money. But I think if you don't have the capacity and the time to do that, like most of us in the Black and brown community, I think you need to find stocks that resonate with you, right? Have the conversation about it. Stocks that resonate with you, that you can feel comfortable investing in, that makes sense to you, and hold it out for at least a year, 2 years, 3 years.
For sure. So when I agree. Like, don't buy stuff you don't understand. I mean, it's just simple as that. Buy the stuff you use. If you understand it, you'll be able to follow it, right? But so from a tax picture, we got to look at it like when we put money into the stock market, the only way we'll get taxed on it is if there is a taxable event. So if we buy a stock and we hold it and we don't sell it, you won't owe taxes on it throughout the year. So your 1099Bs is just going to...
a summary of what you purchased.
Yeah. So it won't be nothing that says, hey, you owe taxes or you don't owe taxes.
It's basically just showing you what you did. Your activity. Right?
But if you decide to sell, then you will get taxed on the gain.
Yeah.
If you decide to sell and you lose money, now you get a deduction.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about it is the IRS says that we can only deduct up to $3,000 per year. So if we sold something and we had a loss of $10,000, we would have to take $3,000 year over year over year until the $10,000 is used up.
Yeah.
Right. And so that works out for you. Right. So if you made money and you got a loss, right, now your taxable income becomes deductible. So if I made $100,000, we're going to deduct the $3,000, right? So now my taxable income, what is that? $97,000 taxable income. That's what we're starting at for taxable income. So it works out.
And then if you are one of those who are really lucky, you made a profit, you sold, and so you're like, hey, listen, I made $10,000 here. You know what I mean? What do I do to offset? How do I lower my tax debt? How do I lower my taxable income? Well, we just told you one. Keep it for at least a year, right? Think about waiting it out. The next thing you could do for me is roll it into another investment opportunity that you could possibly grow more money from. Unless you're using it to buy a house, unless you're under financial strain, then there are some exceptions. But I would roll it into another investment opportunity, right? Into another business or real estate or something of that sort, right? You got to kind of keep rolling it into the next thing to avoid the taxes. Other than that, there's really nothing more you could do.
Well, you could do a tax strategy you can do, which I'm gonna say it, but I'm not gonna explain it, right? Because we still staying on the basics. But another one that you can do is a harvest loss, which is a tax strategy, in the harvest loss set to offset the gains, right? So if you guys want to know more, or you got more complex questions about like investing in stocks and what's the taxes on it, what's the play about it, leave the question in the comments and we'll answer them like as they come, right? And so the last two things to explain is just your interest income, right? So when you get the 1099 interest income is taxed at ordinary income tax rate. Your dividend income could be taxed from an ordinary dividend or a qualified dividend, right? It just depends on where you're getting dividends from and what that picture is. But that's basically the stock really explained, right?
Oh, for sure.
And so it just gets more complicated the more you become a
savvy investor. The more money you...
Yeah. And when I say complicated, I'm just saying...
Because it's just more money involved.
It's just more money.
For sure.
Not that it's like difficult to like do or don't do, but it's just the more money involved.
The same thing you would do. So if you're investing only $100, and then after 2 years you start to invest $100,000,
sure.
right?
Now we talking.
It's different, right? Because the gain is larger.
Yeah.
So then the tax implication is larger. So then you got to go, okay, well then what do I do? And at that point, you definitely have some other behaviors, other vehicles, other things in your wheelhouse that you're going to use to offset that tax debt, right? Most people who start to get into that 100,000 investing in that large capacity, you're definitely into some other things to offset your taxes. I mean, there's a plethora of things.
So the stocks can be fun. So one real way to look at it too is a good example would be over the beginning of May, right? Warren Buffett had his annual shareholders meeting. In the shareholders meeting, a big topic of discussion was the fact that Warren Buffett portfolio, I believe, is like somewhere between 40-ish% is invested in Apple.
Yeah.
And so he has a heavy stake in Apple, right? But he sold some of Apple's shares because he wanted the cash. And if you look at his cash portfolio, Warren Buffett's sitting at like almost $200 billion in cash. It's like 190 something thousand.
Where is that at?
190 billion.
Where is that?
I don't know, but I bet the feds know.
Where is the
it's
cash?
It's about 190.
Where is that sitting?
90 billion. So, when I hear that, so let me finish my thought before I go down a tangent. So
no problem.
So with that being said, right, Warren Buffett is known for buying and holding stocks for years, right? He don't even give out dividends to his shareholders mostly because he reinvests stocks. But because he wanted the cash, this triggered a taxable event. And so, of course, Warren Buffett is like, well, of course, we knew the risk going into this. We're going to pay the taxes. We don't have no issue paying the taxes.
Right.
He had Apple for a while, so we're paying long-term capital gains rate, right? And it might be honest with you, he might be still paying lower taxes than most of y'all paying on earned income taxes off the sale of it, right? So those are things you just want to look at. Now, my quick tangent on that was he's holding $100 billion in cash. And Warren is like, we don't see nothing attractive to buy. Suggest a couple things. The businesses that we are making in America or around the world today are just not attractive enough for any investor to be looking at, right? And so we got to kind of look at that. How can we become the next, or can we be another version of ourselves, of a Google, of an Apple, or that somebody want to invest in us? But all right, y'all, that's a little bit more than what we bargained for. So that's the information on stocks at the basic level. If you want to know more, please leave a question in the comments. Ask your tax advisor, because we didn't give you fiduciary advice. We just gave y'all the basic rundown of stocks and the taxes from stocks.
That's it.
Right? All right, y'all. Like, share, comment. Like, share, subscribe. Hit that bell. And we'll see y'all on the next episode. Peace.